Welcome and hello to today's breakout sessions, exciting and useful websites, extensions, and apps. Our presenter today is Morgan McLaughlin from Minnesota Internship Center. My name is Jessie Welton and I'm an evaluation specialist at Minneapolis Public Schools and a board member of Best Prep. I'll be your host for today's session. Before we begin, please keep in mind that you can enter any questions or comments into the chat throughout the session and I'll be monitoring the chat. We'll have time for questions at the end. The session will be recorded and posted later into the recorded session part of the SpotMe website, and it can be viewed there for a year afterward. Best Prep is collecting feedback on all of these sessions, so after today's session, please complete the survey on the breakout page of the SpotMe website. I'd like to now introduce Morgan. Morgan McLaughlin is in his 11th year working in schools and is currently the Instructional Technology Specialist for the Minnesota Internship Center, a 4-site charter school in the Twin Cities. Before this role, Morgan was a classroom teacher for 10 years, teaching social studies and language arts. He was also a mock trial coach, class advisor, and an NHS advisor. Morgan also teaches free online courses about East Asia for teachers every summer. Morgan, we're very excited to have you here and looking forward to your presentation. I'll now turn it over.
Thank you, Jesse. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Wow, we're up to 28. Okay. So, thanks for taking your time and picking this session. So as was mentioned, we're going to look at different websites, apps, extensions. The majority of these are going to be free, and I've broken them down by core contents, but that doesn't mean that they can't be used cross-curricular. So what I'm going to do is present my presentation here, and then at the end we're going to have time for you to look at a few individually, whatever one sparks your interest, and then we'll have some Q&A time. Some of you have already seen that I posted a poll in the links part for this session. It's also going to pop up in my presentation, so if you just give me a second here. So we're going to look at a whole bunch of things. I'm going to try and go fairly quickly because some of these you might be familiar with, some you might not, but you're going to have time to explore. And with the way I'm presenting, you might have a box to your right that shows people, so you might not be able to see everything clearly. We'll see. So I want you to think of your favorite teacher or teachers from when you were in school. What was it that made that person your favorite? Was it the content or the relationship with the teacher? Was it the state standards or how the person taught? Was it the teacher's personality or the textbook? I want you to think about that because technology in and of itself is not a magic cure-all. It's not going to replace things. It's just a way to help you be you. All right, so this was pretty much already said. All right, so we're going to look at dozens of different programs. You're going to have some explore time and we'll have some discussion time. So the overview of this session, I want to introduce you to various programs to help make your life easier and hopefully help you be more like your favorite teacher. Most of these are free programs. I've highlighted a few that aren't free that are still worth looking at. The goal, my goal, by the end of this presentation, you will have a couple of programs you will have explored and a list of additional programs to explore that can assist your teaching. All right, so some disclaimers. Always, please always check with your admin before implementing any new tech. Please check with your tech team before implementing any new tech. They can tell you about privacy data, hardware requirements, software requirements, things like that. And please always test out any new tech long before you implement it, at least a few days or a week. I think we've all known teachers who've tried to do something the day of or the night before, and inevitably something didn't work, and the frustration doesn't need to happen. What I usually like to do is if we have devices that we give our students, I like to play with tech from both the teacher side and then on a student device, but that's not always possible. So if you can prep out at least a week ahead of time, check out your tech, see what's working, what's not, that's great. Remember, your students are also really good at figuring out tech. They're also really good about getting around technology blocks and things like that we put in place. Spent a lot of time dealing with that this year. All right. So the first poll question here, and I see that some of you have already started to answer. If you cannot find the link in our website documents, you can also just open a new tab, go to pollev.com/morganmclog638. Sorry, I use the free version, so I'm not able to shorten that. And it's going to ask, what kind of LMS do you use? Learning management system, Blackboard, Moodle, Google Classroom, Edmodo. There's a lot. Oh, thanks for putting it in the chat. So the link is also in the chat. So it looks like most people are using Google. About half Google, a little less than half Schoology. Some people using some other that's not listed. Okay, cool. Now, a lot of these different programs I'm going to show you can actually link right into Schoology or Google Classroom if you're using that. So that's a feature. I'm not really going to show you how to use that feature, but it's quite simple. If you've used Google Classroom or Schoology, you know what the little icon or the link looks like in all likelihood. So you just click on that and it'll give you the options. All right, so CEUs, I know a lot of people, that's a big thing for them. Where can I get free CEUs? Because I need to relicense this year. I have a lot of teachers who've asked me that over the years. So here are just a few. If you just Google it, you'll find a whole bunch on there. Now, some places are starting to run into some financial issues if they're connected to colleges because of what's going on right now. Sorry, I'm looking at I have the chat open on a different computer so that it doesn't interrupt this presentation. So the NCT Asia, if you're looking for either general CEUs or English or social studies, it's a good one for that. EdWeb has a variety of different things. The downside to EdWeb is that some of them are really good and some of them are not because they're always paid for by some program. National Geographic Virtual Field Trips is kind of a fun one. Share Your Learning. This is, you post a lesson plan and then you do a rather lengthy reflection how it went and you'll be able to get a CEU. And then Learning Council has different webinars you can watch, either live or previously posted, and then you can get CEUs at the end. All right, so math and science. Like I said, I'll try and go through these kind of quickly. Some of these you might already know. Desmos is a graphing calculator. You can use it in Chrome or Safari, works really well. We've got, oh wait, actually I think I got pictures here. So here's what Desmos looks like. Then we've got U Cubed, which has a collection of different activities, worksheets. You can check it off by grades or by topics. The exponential growth with pennies is probably an activity most math teachers have done, to get to $1 million. So that's an example on there. Nova Labs have online labs for science classes that you can play around with. You can assign to students. Again, these are free. Globats, and there's also another one there. And so is FET. So these online labs are quite useful right now with distance learning. The Concord Consortium. So this is STEM, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of different things you can explore and assign to your students. All sorts of free resources. You've got GeoBra. Students can explore different math concepts. You can see, look at geometry, trigonometry, calculus, probability, algebra, statistics. So it is geared more towards high school. We've got Elements, which is an interactive periodic table. You can use pictures, you have different video interactives, all sorts of things to give students a chance to explore the periodic table with more visuals, things like that. IXL, if you've never used it, this is a paid one. That's why I have it in yellow here. They have math and science, or math and English at the high school level, but they have K-8 in a bunch of different topics: Spanish, social studies, science. I think they're going to be adding high school in the other topics, but they haven't gotten there yet. They can break it down by your state standards, or they can put it by Common Core. So what this does is you can have students take a pretest, or you can pick a specific skill and assign it to your students, and they work on this. They answer a question. If they get it wrong, there's instant remediation. If they get it right, they move on, and then you can set a passing score for 80% or 60%. The higher their percent gets, the tougher the questions go, which does make students quite frustrated, because once they get close to 80, it starts getting very difficult. Every time they get it wrong, it goes down. We got mathhelp.com, which can be quite useful for distance learning. Mathaids.com, you've got a wide variety of different things. This is elementary through 12th grade. So you can find different worksheets on here, whether you're looking to give students some practice, things like that. And MathBot. So this is a little bit of kind of an interactive math, kind of a fun way. You basically program a robot by doing math. ELA Social Studies. We've got Actively Learn, which is both free and paid. The free version allows you to upload your own documents, 3 a month, I believe. The paid version has unlimited uploads. They also have their own stuff on there. So you've got news articles on here, you've got short stories. If you're doing a unit on Poe, you can find videos and readings on Poe on here, including some of his short stories. As you can see, they also have some science and social studies stuff on here. Fortunately, no math. It does make readings interactive. I really enjoy it. I really like it. And just about every school I've ever taught at has started using it once I introduced it to the other teachers. I'm a big fan of Actively Learn. Common Lit. So this is a great one to go on the website, and you're looking for different materials that you can possibly introduce in your class. You'll find a lot of it on here. Did I go out of order? I think I did go out of order. All right, Teach Rock. This is kind of a fun one. So you look at different historical eras, and it's using interviews with musicians. A lot of it's video based. So you can find, the civil rights movement, interview with different musicians at the time that things were happening, or musicians today. And it's not just rock musicians, despite what it sounds like. Shattered Ground. This is a World War I interactive graphic novel that's available online. It is British, so you'll get some things like the word color spelled kind of weird. Oh, there should be a link to the slideshow in our class. If not, I will email the people again and get it put on there. YR Media. This is a news website specifically geared towards teens. So the news on there is supposed to be more interesting towards teenagers. So you're looking at middle school, high school students, not so much geared towards elementary news, but for the students who are a little less interested in looking at things, it can be quite useful. No Red Ink. So this allows students to work on their writing, on their grammar. It'll pull up different sentences, different errors in the sentences, possibly no errors. They have to figure out what the error is, click on it, and fix it. One of the nice things about this is they answer some questions ahead of time, and it'll pull their name, other people's names they know, pop culture things that they like, and put them into the sentences. There's a free version, and there's also, I believe, a paid version. But you can assign specific skills you want students to work at. Facing History has a whole bunch of different resources that you can look at, find different materials you'd want for your classroom. Oh, I have IXL on here twice, my mistake. We've got Poll Everywhere. So this is what you answered before. I'm not going to show you the poll results, but you can put all sorts of different things on there. The word walls are fun. The more students answer with the same answer, the bigger those words get. So it gives you a nice quick glance to see where people are at. You've got the multiple choice, all sorts of different things on there. If you do the paid version, you can shorten the URL. If you don't do the paid version, you can just take the link, throw it right into your LMS, your Google Classroom, Schoology, whatever. Whew. All right, maybe I put a few too many in here. So we've got Book Creator, which has done some updates during the COVID time. They now have like a comic book session. So it's got all this pre-form. It's also got a new, oh shucks, I'm blanking on the word. The photo books you get at the end of the year that have all the students' pictures and names in them. Brain fart. But you can create one of those on here. Yearbook, thank you.
Morgan, we do have a question in the chat. Do you want to save those for the end, or do you want to answer them as you're going along?
Sorry, yeah, it's just, the chat's kind of small, so I was like trying to read it, and it was more than a few words. Can you embed?
In Poll Everywhere, you can embed the word cloud within Google Slides.
In real time, I'm not sure that you can do that just yet, but you can put the link to your results, and then it opens up in a different browser window, and you'll be able to see it in real time. So it won't, I don't think it'll embed it right in the site, or in your Google Sites, or sorry, your Google presentation, but you will be able to link it. One of the nice things about Book Creator is all the images they can put in there have to either be saved on their device, or they have to be copyright-free pictures, which is kind of nice. Peer grade, so this would be your students, you'd have all your students sign up, and then they can do editing of each other's work, grading each other's work, things like that, give feedback, and then you have complete control over the results, any comments people give, things like that, which is really nice because it can stop bullying and off-task behavior, things like that. So it's kind of a nice way during distance learning to have the students kind of work on each other, and you can put different rubrics and things like that on there. Can you delete words prior to them going on the word wall, show in real time? Yes, you can delete answers from your Poll Everywhere. Yes, so if someone puts the word butts on there, you can delete their answers. You can make the results anonymous or not anonymous, and that'll allow you to see who's doing that. All right. And then don't forget the CNN 10, if you've never used this. Every day there's a new kind of fast-paced news story. I used it a couple years ago. At the end, the guy would always do this long string of puns. My students hated the puns, but it was so much fun for me to hear them groan at the puns and things like that. I just loved it. So it's obviously 10 minutes. That's why it's called CNN 10. Civics, this is a lot of fun. It's got, I'm not a big fan of the lessons they have on this website, but the games are really nice. A lot of the games will work with middle school students, high school students, gives them a chance to play, explore. If you're into gamification, this is a great website to look at. Their Running for President game is a lot of fun. I've used that in my civics class. But don't forget the Google stuff. So for example, if you want to do a choose your own adventure, you can use Google Forms to make a choose your own adventure for the students to read, or they can make their own choose their own adventure and write it out. It's probably more for high school unless you want to give a lot more scaffolding to middle school, but they can create it right in there. It's a lot of fun. They can share it with each other, and then they can see. Mine was a little dark. Every wrong turn ended up in death, so I'm not going to share it too much. Okay, I will get the presentation emailed out so it gets up there. All right, art and electives. So Quiver, this is a cell phone based app. I don't have pictures of all these, but I would recommend looking at it on your cell phone to play with it. This is great for elementary, middle school. Some high schoolers will also get a lot of fun out of this. So there are free versions, paid versions. Free version, you print out these coloring pages, and there's going to be a little scan code on the bottom. Students will color it and then put your phone over it, and you can get free phones, old phones from different organizations that might be willing to donate them. And then when you scan it with your phone, it makes the image completely three-dimensional. You can move completely around the image on your phone. Some of them are interactive. There's a basketball one that's free. You can shoot baskets on it. There's a fire truck one. You can make the fire truck drive around. You can move the ladder up and down, fire the hose. So it's a lot of fun. Even my high schoolers were really getting into it.
Cool.
But this is definitely one, if you have some downtime in a day, we've all had those days where you're more or less ending up babysitting students for a little while they're waiting to go to a pep fest or whatever, or art class, or any number of things. Green screen for Apple devices. This is one of the better green screen programs. It's called green screen, but it would work on an iPad or an iPhone only. Flipgrid. So this allows students to make short videos. You create your class. You can see the videos. Some of the sessions yesterday, I believe, did a Flipgrid in response. Sketchpad is really nice for drawing, having students do art on their devices. Most of these will work best in Chrome. Wick Editor, I'm just going to show you a quick example of this. So this is a really easy to use program, and allows you to make animated drawings. Well, maybe I won't show you a quick example. Oh, here we go. So this is a drawing I made. Took me about 15 minutes, high quality art here. One of the nice things is that if you're doing multiple images, it'll give you a shadow image of where we previously had drawn things to allow you to do art. So Adobe Spark, if you ever use the old Windows Movie Maker, it's very similar to that. This runs in Chrome, and it allows you to take different videos, different pictures, different sound files, put them together to create videos. Blend Space by TESS. I'll show you another example of this one while this is loading. And then there's Soundtrap. This one is paid, but it's really cheap. It allows your students to do complete music editing. They can create their own music. They can edit music that's already on there. They can put together beats. They can lay down multiple layers. They can record audio on top. And it's very, very easy to use. And then the nice thing about it is the licenses go by seat, and it's connected to Google Classroom. So if you disable user A because they've transferred or whatever, that seat then opens up for user B. And if user A comes back, all their stuff is saved because it's connected to the Google Classroom. So TESS here, you can create a complete pod of a lesson. Great for distance learning. So for this lesson, I've got a PDF on potential and kinetic energy that they read. And then we got a short video. And then I've got a little text that says, watch this image here. So this is a GIF. I'm a big wrestling fan. I'm a huge nerd. Comic books, wrestling, you name it. of a wrestler getting bounced. So which one is the potential energy? Which one is the kinetic energy? We got a quiz at the end. So the way this is set up is they can't move on to number 2 until they've done number 1. Once it's, yeah. And then you can post this right into your Google Classroom, right in Schoology. You can do this same thing on Schoology on its own. It just takes a little bit more knowledge to do it. Games and study tools. So Kahoot, a lot of people are familiar with that. You throw questions up, multiple choice. You got the wonderfully annoying music that's both fun and annoying at the same time. Students, as fast as they can, try and select the right answer. They can play this on a computer, a tablet, a phone. Quiz is essentially the same thing, but you can open it up so students can do it on their own time. So it'll allow students to basically play Kahoot. If they're playing it at 2 a.m., if they're playing it at 3 p.m., they can still play it and then see their scores compared to others. Room recess. This is a fun one for elementary, middle, and high school. A wide variety of games. One of my favorite ones right now is, well, there's a boxing one that's works on typing. And then there's Word War, where it's a little bit like Boggle. They get a bunch of letters, they got to spell out a word, and they shoot cannonballs at either the computer or another player. But they have a whole bunch of different games on here, working on any kind of skills you could want in a way that's user-friendly. And because it works off of mouse clicks versus most other things for most of the games, it's very easy and accessible for a lot of students. Cram and Quizlet, people might be familiar with these. They're great study tools. They create flashcards for the kids to work on. They can do their own quizzing of themselves on there. Cram also has a couple of games that are fun. There's a Bejeweled version, and then there's a really hard one called Stellar Speller, where they have to spell out the answer by shooting one letter at a time. I've done this with a whole class of high school students, and everyone's shouting out the answer to help the person who's doing it. But it is really tough to sit there and like, wait, how do I spell this word? What's the answer? How do I spell it? So Arcade Generator is another one that allows you to do some multiple choice games online. Pac-Man is one of their popular ones on there. So you create a question, 4 possible answers. They're playing Pac-Man, and then every 10 seconds or so, a multiple choice question comes up. Review Game Zone, very similar, only students get to pick what game they play. I had a lot of middle schoolers who are big into heroic ants. You launch this ant, try to get it farther than anyone else. Flappy Birds is really annoying. Some of my students really like that one. There's all sorts of different games on here. So you create the questions ahead of time with the 4 multiple choice, and then it pulls them at random. Wolf Science allows you to do an online Jeopardy board. It's completely saved online. You can put the link right into your LMS. Students can play it at their own leisure. They're not really competing with anyone if they're playing it on their own, unless you're doing it through a Zoom or Google Meet or whatever your virtual classroom is. Heads Up, you might be familiar with that. It's a cell phone based one. You hold your cell phone up. It's got a word on there. You can choose animals. You can choose pop culture trivia, whatever, so it can work with elementary all the way up. The students try to give you hints as to what it is, and if they're trying to get you to say giraffe, you know, they'll say whatever. You shout out giraffe. If it's right, then you go like this to get a new one. If you're not sure, you go like this to get a new one. One of the fun things is you can set it to record the audience. So when it's all done, then you can see. When I've done this with middle school and upper elementary, they really wanted the videos afterwards because they like to laugh at themselves a little bit and have a lot of fun with it. All right, we're getting close to the end. National Geographic virtual field trips. Those are fun field trips you can do. If you sign up quickly to the trips that are coming up, your class gets to interact live. A little harder to do virtual, but if you don't sign up right away, you wait a little while, then you're kind of watching the field trip rather than interacting with the speakers. YouTube live stream, webex.com, Zoom, Google Meet. These are all different video chats. You can record a lot of these. Screen Recorder, Screencast-O-Matic, and Screencastify. These are all allow you to make a video that you can post into your LMS. Khan Academy, which a lot of people are probably familiar with. They've expanded some of their program now with distance learning. Evernote, it's a great way to help students organize their notes, things like that. Kami is a free PDF program. You can put it right into if you're using Chromebooks. Ad Blocker Plus is really nice. You put it on there, it blocks most ads, but some websites have gotten to be a little clever with that, and they won't let you go to their website unless you disable it. Mercury Reader is a really nice one for schools because it blocks all the ads on a site, so they can read whatever it is with the possibly inappropriate or distracting stuff removed, and they don't notice it's removed. Jamboard is the best online whiteboard that I've seen. I'm a huge fan of it. It allows you to make multiple whiteboards at once. YouTube playlists are really great if you have students working in class. To take some time, have them create playlists just to kind of control that off task. Google Keep is a really nice one if you're using G Suite. It's kind of like a post-it system on your computer, but it's also got an art program built into it that's pretty good. And then there's a whole bunch of other things on here. Edpuzzle makes videos interactive, just like Actively Learn made readings interactive. We got Pear Deck to add some things to your presentations. Share My Lesson, obviously sharing lessons for free, see other people's lessons. Nitro Type is a racing game where they type. Grammarly helps a lot of students work on their grammar and also see. This is definitely great for some students who have a little trouble understanding emotions. Grammarly will tell them if you're coming off maybe angrily or what your emotions are in there, and it does it through faces. You'll see the emoji, the icons for happy face, angry face, whatever. Archive.org has a ton of free resources. You can find entire books that are free on there to download. Others are checkoutable. That's all the different libraries, or a bunch of libraries around the world have gotten together and post resources on there. Just a forewarning, their search on their website is horrible. You're better off going to Google, typing in archive.org, and then the name of the book you're looking for. 80 Degrees North.com is an interactive graphic novel all about exploring of, I want to say Antarctica. CK12, free online lessons. ePals, this can be, it's focused more towards elementary, middle school, but there are some high schools on there. Allows you to create pen pals anywhere in the world. You can pick which country you want to pick from, what languages they speak. They do a lot of vetting of the people that are on there for safety and security, but then you also have a lot of oversight of what's going on. Oculus Go has gotten to be pretty cheap, and there are a lot of free apps on there, but it does cost money to buy an Oculus Go. Google Voice is a great way to text from your computer, but it costs money. ClassHook has all sorts of movie educational clips that they've already found posted on their website. You can search and find things you didn't even know existed if you like to use short video clips for different concepts, different topics. Whew. Okay. Whew. Okay, took a little longer than I thought, but let's take, so we go to 55, take it to at least 50. Let's take about 5 to 7 minutes. If there's one of these that looks interesting to you, I want you to explore it, have some time to look at it just real quick, and then we'll get to some Q&A time. You can share your thoughts. You can ask me questions about it, whatever. You should be able to unmute your microphone if you have any questions. So I will bring us back at 10:50. All right, so it's 10:50. You can totally keep checking out things on your own. Otherwise, I would invite people to share any apps, extension, websites, programs that you already use that you recommend, so that way we can learn from each other. You can type those right in the chat, or there's a link to a poll, like somebody has already posted. Class Dojo is something that they really like. So, and this is also a good time if you want to unmute yourself, you can ask questions, or you can post questions in the chat. So we've got about 5 minutes. Yeah, I've actually, as an adult, found Grammarly to be quite useful, helpful.
There's a question in the chat about U cubed. They're wondering about the price. It doesn't, do you know if there's a separate app that has different pricing?
Let me look here. So you were looking, the person asking the question, were you looking under courses or ideas?
I was checking out under the apps link, they had one called, what was it, Fogstone Isle. And it looks like it then goes to a whole different like websites. I don't know if they're linking to other groups that are doing different apps. And it looks awesome because it looks kind of like Minecraft, but with it very explicitly with math, and my students love Minecraft but hate math. And so I was like, oh great, but now I'm like, this doesn't look like this is anything free. So
Yeah, these apps appear, because I know I'm familiar with PolyUp. These apps appear to be completely separate from their website. So anything, you know, it might be free, it might not. They just linked it because they particularly like it. I haven't explored their apps yet. I just looked under their some of their other stuff.
I have another question for you. So with doing special education, and I work with students primarily with autism spectrum, and so I needed to really find a way to be able to draw the kids in. You know, when we were in the classroom, we always made sure we took some time to play a game at least once a week, so they had to practice those skills of losing and winning and handling trash talk and trash talking appropriately. So I really struggled during distance learning and trying to find a way to make that work. So much so that at one point, like I was playing Uno to my laptop and holding their cards up so they could see their cards, and then pulling out from the pile that I also was trying to have show. Do you know of anything that really, I looked on the room recess for a little bit, but I'm looking for some way to game that is more where they actually can see the other person, or if anybody knows of ideas like that.
So you want the visual aspect as well as the game.
Right.
Now there are a few games that I have played online, and the way I've made that work is I did like a Google Meet or a Zoom while we played the game. So you had the Zoom window up. It works best if they're using a cell phone or a tablet in addition to the computer. So that's where it gets a little complicated, because now you've got two devices, and not every home has two devices. Or you've got to split your windows and have a smaller screen on one side and a smaller screen on the other side. But there are a few. Let's see. There was one that I've had a lot of fun with. It's just weird. What's it called? Scribby? I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head, so I don't have it handy. But searching free games online will come up with some, and then a few of the ones that I showed in here under games would allow you to kind of play together, like the room recess. They can pick another person randomly off the internet, which they don't know who they're playing unless they're talking to each other. A lot of my students figured out really quickly that given the time of day we were playing, there wasn't anyone else playing except the other person, but that would require like a Zoom or Google Meet. Sorry, I don't have that handy off the top of my head.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
It looks like Amy in the chat also recommended myfreebingo.com. And since we are nearing the end of our time, I just wanted to thank you again, Morgan, for leading today's session. Some of these websites look really great. I was looking at the National Geographic one. And then thank you again, everyone, for joining today's session. Please remember to complete the survey on the SpotMe website. And again, these sessions will be recorded, and Best Prep should be sending out the presentation for Morgan's PowerPoint today. We'll also be moving on to our next session now. So thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. The link is going to be on our website, and it's also in the chat right now. Enjoy the rest of your class. Sorry, I went over a couple minutes. Bye.